Hello everyone, it's Friday, so it's time for another Friday Reads. And this was a busy week. I was quite busy at work and I'm so happy it's Friday. But I guess I will go into the books I have read. The first one I finished is The Famish Road by Ben Okri. I had very little left from this last week and my thoughts have not evolved a lot. I just really liked it. It was a lot less magical than I was expecting. There was a lot of magical elements and talk about the spiritual world and the road to that spiritual world. But at the same time, those spirits were very intertwined with the reality of the place, and it talked a lot more than I thought about the poverty of the real world, the politics of it, the hardships of that. That was, I think, the main topic of this book. And yeah, I think it was explored very interestingly. I kind of want to reread it and make notes of it and analyze some of the passages, because I think there is much more packed in there than I realized on a first read. Also, this is part of a trilogy, I think, so I might get to the other two at some point. But yeah, I really like this one. The second one that I read, I was kindly given by NetGalley, so thank you to the publishers and to NetGalley to let me read this, and that was Heaven by Mieko Kawakami. And Mieko Kawakami is the author of Breast and Eggs, which has been making the rounds on BookTube. And I read and enjoyed, and I feel similarly about Heaven. Heaven is a book about a boy, middle grade age, that he's bullied quite a lot. But then he meets this girl in his class that they developed a really close friendship, and they kind of trying to find their place in the world, this place that they call heaven. And it was very nice and sweet at times. I like the conversations, the philosophical conversations that kids have. It's very well portrayed, I think, from what I remember from being that age. But I felt like the topics that it explores are a little bit removed from my experience right now as an adult woman. So I think I could not enjoy that as much just because of that. The writing was not simplified or anything, but the content and the topics were different from what I would be used in an adult book. So yeah, that one I liked, I didn't love. And then the last one I finished is the Magioca Sisters by Juni'chiro Tanizaki, and this was translated by Edward Seidenseeker, and I quite like this one. It's considered a modern classic of Japanese literature, and it follows the Makioka sisters, who are four sisters in the 40s in Japan. And the first two are married and the second two are not married. So we do see that dynamic of how it was to try to get married in Japan at that time, but not in a sense of it doesn't explore the feelings of the sisters for the men that they are going to marry in depth, but it goes more into how the actions of each sister affects the rest of them and the respectability of them. The younger sister, youngest one, is supposed to be kind of a bit more free and spoiled, in the sense that she does fall in love every once in a while, whereas the second younger sister that is also trying to get married is much more sensible about it and wants to follow the traditions, or at least she follows the traditions. So yeah, we have that conflict, but I think the most important relationships are between the sisters, not with these men that they are going to marry eventually. And we can see that despite they trying to impose these rules of society to some degree, it also has the sense that they are doing that because they love each other and they want each other to be happy. And it's a lot easier to be happy in society when you follow the rules of society. So yeah, it was a very interesting one. It gave me a little bit of Little Women vibe. That strong sister relationship, even though they are not always perfectly happy. But in the Japanese setting, which is a lot more interesting for me because I know less about. So yes, I really enjoyed this one. Currently, what I am reading, I just started this today and I'm like 20 pages in. It is My Year of Myths by Ruth Ozeki, and this one is about the American Japanese woman that is producing a TV show called My American Wife, and it is about these American women home life, and at the end of each episode they share a recipe, and that recipe always has to contain meat. And this TV show it's produced to be aired in Japan, so it's not supposed to be for the American people but for the Japanese people. And yeah, I think that sounds fascinating. As I said, I'm only 20 pages in, so I don't have a lot of thoughts on the way that the plot is going to develop. But I like Ruth Oseki's writing. I think it flows really well, and it doesn't. It makes you feel like the story is easy to read without making it shallow. So yes, I'm looking forward to continue with this one. So that's what I have been reading, but when I finish the Ruth Ozeki, what I want to continue with, it's my reread projects. And for that, this time I chose The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera. I don't remember a whole ton of the plot of this, but I know it's about a man in Prague around the time of the Soviet Union, uh, and his love affairs. I enjoyed it a lot when I read it several years ago, but since then I have heard people complaining about some misogynistic aspects of it. I'm not sure if I will enjoy it this time around, but I want to try and see if this should stay in my shelves or I should pass it over. So yeah, that's why I'm reading this one. And then there are another two books that I want to try to read this week. The first one is Lullaby by Leila Slimani, or My Perfect Nanny, depending on where you are. And I chose this one for my Invisible Cities for Morocco. Now, if you saw my previous video telling you what I was planning to read, I actually said that I wanted to read Secret Son by Leila Lalami. However, that is in the library, and the lockdown in the Netherlands has been extended until the 9th of February at least, so that means that the libraries are not going to be open until then. So I would not be able to have access to that book in January. So instead, I'm going to read Lullaby, which is available to me now. And this is a thriller of a woman that is a nanny, and she is accused of killing the child that she was taking care of, I think. So yeah, I'll be reading that. I'm normally not super into thrillers, but this one has gotten a lot of praise, and I kind of feel like something easy to read right now because work has been crazy and I can do with a little bit of easiness in my life in other areas. And then the other one that I want to read is Obabakoak by Bernardo Atxaga. This is a Spanish book, and I'm going to read it in Spanish, and it's about this rural village in the Basque Country. So I grew up very close to the Basque Country. My mom is Basque, and I kind of know the area relatively well. So yeah, I'm interested in that one, especially because Bernardo Atxaga used to be one of my favorite children's writers, but he also writes adult fiction, and I have only read one of his adult books and I liked it, so I wanted to try some more. And this was available in ebook in my library in Spain, so I'm going to be reading that in audiobook, hopefully this week. So yeah, those are all my plans for this week and last week. Let me know if you have read any of these books or you have thoughts on any of them. Tell me what you're reading, how your lockdowns are going. I hope everyone is doing okay. And yeah, until next video, bye!